They stopped his nonviolent interrogation of Abu Zubaydah. They stopped his request for CIA information that might have forestalled the 9/11 attacks. Former FBI interrogator, now author, Ali Soufan is my guest. If you've had it with hearing Dick Cheney defend the Bush administration's enhanced interrogation techniques, that is to say torture, as he peddles his memoir around the country, take heart. Our number one story in the countdown, we have the antidote to Mr. Cheney's prevarications. Ali Soufan is a former FBI special agent who began investigating al-Qaeda in 1997. He had great success getting vital information from al-Qaeda suspects before the CIA stepped in with methods which the Red Cross confirmed in a confidential report constituted torture. Methods like forced nudity, sleep deprivation, waterboarding, familiar from the Soviet Gulag and the Spanish Inquisition. Mr. Soufan has written about his fight against al-Qaeda and the Bush administration's torture policies in a new book called The Black Banners. A Lebanese American and a Muslim, fluent in Arabic, Mr. Soufan was in Yemen investigating al-Qaeda's attack on the USS Cole when the 9/11 attacks took place. He quickly learned from an al-Qaeda suspect the names of many of the terror group's operatives, including 7 of the 9/11 hijackers. He also read a secret file that he believes could have helped prevent the attacks had he received it when he requested it months before 9/11. From Yemen, Mr. Soufan was dispatched to a secret prison in Thailand, where he took part in the interrogation of Abu Zubaydah, the first of many operatives to be identified by U.S. officials as al-Qaeda's number 3. During that interrogation, Mr. Soufan succeeded in getting Zubaydah to identify Khalid Sheikh Mohammed as the Mukhtar, the mastermind of the plane operations. 10 days later, a CIA contractor took over, and Ali Soufan and the other FBI agents watched on video monitors as the enhanced interrogation of Zubaydah began. What he saw eventually led the FBI to pull its agents from the interrogation program. Mr. Cheney was still defending that program as recently as last Friday.
Few matters have inspired so much contrived indignation and phony moralizing as the interrogation methods applied to a few captured terrorists. The enhanced interrogations of high-value detainees and the terrorist surveillance program have, without question, made our country safer.
Joining me now, Ali Soufan, former FBI special agent and the author of The Black Banners, the inside story of 9/11 and the war against al-Qaeda. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Keith. Great to be with you.
With their last breaths, Mr. Cheney and Mr. Rumsfeld and the others will insist that all good things, any positives of the last 10 years, trace back to, let's call it what it is, torture. There's one other thing that I wanted to play from Cheney's comments and get your reaction to. This is from last Friday.
Sure.
I've seen some comment to this effect from current officials of the government. Helped produce, for example, the intelligence that allowed us to get Osama bin Laden.
Any truth to that?
No.
None.
That's simply no. I mean, just the fact that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed lied after 183 sessions of waterboarding about the identity of the Kuwaiti, and just the fact that we later found out that al-Kuwaiti was important, a fact that led us eventually to Osama bin Laden, that does not mean that enhanced interrogation worked. After 183 sessions, I suspect the person to be telling the truth if waterboarding works. Everything that we've been told about waterboarding, everything we've been told about enhanced interrogation techniques, the identification of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed as a mastermind of 9/11, the identification of Jose Padilla as the alleged dirty bomber, and a lot of the other threats. We actually got that information from Abu Zubaydah way before waterboarding was even applied, month before waterboarding was even applied. I'll give it to you this way. I mean, Padilla was arrested in May of 2002. Waterboarding didn't start until the end of July, early August of 2002. So month before, we had Padilla.
And where else could that have come from?
Absolutely,
exactly.
Absolutely. And with Abu Zubaydah, they've been using Abu Zubaydah as a perfect example of how enhanced interrogation techniques works. Even, all the different memos, all the different speeches that the advocates of enhanced interrogation techniques have been promoting around the nation basically are full of misinformation, because everything that I've heard so far about the alleged successes of enhanced interrogation techniques, I can tell you, I was there. My statement to the U.S. Senate is the only statement on record about what happened with Abu Zubaydah. And when they are able to raise the right hand, take an oath, and talk about the efficacy of this program, then we can talk.
If you want to take the plug out altogether, we're done with anything that you'd have to listen to. You can just listen.
Okay, great, thanks.
This is disturbing. Do you get the impression at this point that that they pulled you guys out and threw the torturers in there, not to get information at all, but simply to be able to say, we tortured? I mean, wouldn't it have been, to some degree, ethically cleaner to say, hey, if you're a terrorist or a suspected terrorist and we capture you, we're going to torture you. Not because it's going to work to get information, but just so we can.
Well, you know, the program was secret at the time, and they went step by step towards enhanced interrogation techniques. It didn't happen overnight, but it was disheartening to see that happening. And, and especially when a person is talking, when a person is providing actionable intelligence, when a person is telling you about threats that they are planning to conduct around the world. Not one, not two, not three. When the person identified Khalid Sheikh Mohammed as the mastermind of 9/11. And I'll tell you how we got Khalid Sheikh Mohammed as the mastermind of 9/11. Not because of waterboarding. We got him, as I told the U.S. Senate, we Forrest Gump ourselves to it. I mean, he was telling us about a threat in a country that I still cannot tell you the name because it's still classified, and he was telling us about the details of that threat. So when we were discussing it, he said this individual from Al-Qaeda is in charge of the operation. At the time, we were in the hospital and we were caring for him. We were trying to help him recover. We did not have photo books with us to basically identify that specific individual. We knew, my partner and I, who he was talking about. So, but we didn't have the photos with us. My partner, remember, he has a, remember those old Palm Pilots? You know, and you know, it has a stylus, and he downloaded the poster of the 22 most wanted terrorists. He clicked on the wrong photo because it was so small, and you know, and you have to hit it with the stylus a couple of times. And he gave it to me. I didn't look at it. He didn't look at it. So I told him, "Is this a guy?" And he said no. And I was really upset with him. I said, "After everything we've done to you, and you're still freaking lying to me." He said, "Don't play games with me, brother. This is Mukhtar. This is the guy who did the plane operation." I looked at it, and it's Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. At that time, we did not know that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was a member of Al-Qaeda. The only reason his photo was on the most wanted terrorist poster is because of his involvement in Manila Air and the Bujunka plot. Not because he's a member of Al-Qaeda. So this is how we knew about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. And then he continued. He continued to tell us all the details about the plot of 9/11 from A to Z.
We're going to have to end the hour because we're done in an hour. But if you can stay, we'll do something for the web about the 9/11 story that you tell in the book. Ali Soufan's book is called The Black Banners, and it's terrific. I'm Keith Olbermann. That's Countdown. Good night and good luck.
Thank you, sir.